listen. Can you listen to me?
Look, my necklace.
You all, I saw something very shocking on the internet today. A mom was recording her daughter, her 4-year-old daughter, and the caption was what made me like, huh? She said her 4-year-old daughter is telling her what happens when she goes to her dad's house for visits. SA. Let's listen to what the 4-year-old has to say, and I'll be back.
Listen. Can you listen to me?
Look, my necklace.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
So you said when he was doing it, his pants were pulled down, right?
Yep.
And what about yours?
Mine.
Were yours pulled down when he was doing it? Angelina, it's very important. Were yours pulled down when he was doing it?
Mine were pulled down.
And his were pulled down?
Oh,
And
wow.
and when he was doing it, what part of his body was touching your body? Don't do that. You're going to get hurt. Give me those. Come here.
Nope.
Listen to me. Come over here right now. We need to talk. It's very important. Come over here, please. All right, sit down. Sit right here on the rug.
Okay, let's.
All right, sit down on the rug right now.
Good.
Yep, sit down. Okay, ready? So you're telling story time. You have to tell mommy. It's very important, okay? You're doing a great job.
Hey, we're playing school and you need to be teacher.
And can I tell you something? I'm very proud of you for telling me the truth. You know I love you so much, and I'm just trying to keep you safe and make sure you're okay, right? Okay, Princess? So you told me that Dom's pants were down and yours were down.
My teacher did not know that I'm a princess.
Okay, listen. So you said his pants were down when he was doing it, and your pants were down when he was doing it, right?
Yep.
And where were you guys when he was doing it? Were you in your room?
We were at Dad's house.
Where in the house? What room were you in?
Living room.
Where in the living room?
Behind a big couch.
What color is that couch?
I just told you, gray.
So you were behind the big gray couch?
Yep.
What do you mean behind it? Like touching the wall?
Yep.
And what do you?
We're right here.
Were you on the floor behind the couch?
I have so many questions. When I saw the video, I had so many questions. I had to go to her page, and I noticed that she has been posting stuff like this about her family, her husband, legal actions, divorce, custody. She has been posting so many things, and the comment section as well, people have been asking so many questions. Some people were coming for her that she shouldn't have posted this online. She just go get a lawyer, call the police. She said she went to the police are aware, they're not doing anything about it. That even she doesn't have full custody for the child. Such an innocent child. She doesn't even know what is going on. She did a kind of talk trying to explain because people were asking so many questions. So she made videos trying to explain what was going on so we can have an idea what is really going on, because I personally have so many questions. Like, let's listen to what she has to say, and I'll be back to share my thoughts at the end of the video.
This is for everybody who's new here. My name's Theodora Antar. I'm 32 years old. I have 2 kids, and I'm from Connecticut, US. My oldest daughter is 9 years old, and my youngest daughter is 5 years old. From the day of her birth until March 9th of this year, I had sole legal and sole physical custody of my 9-year-old. The day of her birth until May 25th, 2023, I had primary residency and joint physical and legal custody of my 5-year-old. In the summer of 2021, Angelina's father decided that he was going to stop paying his child support, and he didn't pay a single dollar of child support for more than 6 months. I decided that I was going to file for contempt because he owed me a lot of money and the state was not doing anything to go after him because he's self-employed and has his own business. His business is Whole House Remodeling Company, LLC. It's registered at 48 Quarry Hill Road, Waterbury, Connecticut. It's been active under his sole name since April of 2021. Even though he wasn't paying his child support, the state refused to enforce the order. They refused to go after his bank accounts, and they refused to go after his tax return. In August of 2022, I first started noticing my daughter doing some strange behaviors where she was basically humping her stuffed animals and doing weird behaviors on her stuffed animals. I kept trying to brush it off, thinking that maybe she's just playing, maybe she's just exploring, and I didn't really think much of it. In October of 2022, my daughter was doing the behavior more and more frequently, and that's when I asked her for the first time what she was doing, and she told me that she said that her toy was tickling her. I asked her if anyone else had ever tickled her like that, and she said yes, her brothers Sal and Dom. I was then advised to call DCF and made a report with DCF in October of 2022, and the police and DCF set Angelina up for a forensic interview at the Yale Child Abuse Clinic, which took place on October 31st, 2022. During that interview, they asked Angelina if there was anywhere on her body that no one else is allowed to touch, and her answer was no. The forensic interview was then immediately ended, immediately terminated, and the police investigation was immediately closed. The detective told me that if she ever made another disclosure, to let her know, and that she wasn't going to interview Dominic or Matthew because she didn't want to taint any possible future investigation. I was then forced to continue sending Angelina to her father's house for his weekend visits from November 1st, 2022 until February 1st, 2023. On February 1st, 2023, I walked into my living room and noticed Angelina was humping one of her toys again. When I asked her what she was doing, this time she said, "Remember I told you? Remember I said Dominic does this to me?" And she said that she was doing what Dom does to her. Dominic is Dominic Lodis, which is her 18-year-old brother. That's from her dad. I then immediately contacted the attorney I had at the time, Don Cretella, who had his secretary, Alexandra Warzoka, tell me that I should call DCF or police and do whatever I thought was best as a mother, which I then called DCF again. Angelina did her second forensic interview at the Yale Child Abuse Clinic on March 3rd, 2023, and this time she disclosed saying that Dominic sits on her and has her sit on him, and during the videos where she was doing the humping behavior, she was saying that she was sitting on the toy like Dom sits on her. The detective, Lisa Steves, said that even though Angelina disclosed that Dominic was sitting on her and having her sit on him, and even though she demonstrated straddling the floor when they asked her to show what Dominic does, Lisa Steves said she was not going to make an arrest. She said that Dominic could claim that they were just wrestling and she wasn't going to do anything. 1 week later, after the DCF worker, Lorraine Plummer, advised Matthew that it was okay for Angelina to start being alone with Dominic again during the dad's visits, Matthew abducted Angelina from school on March 10th, left her alone with Dominic for the entire day on March 11th, and she was then sexually abused again. I demanded that I have a meeting with the New Britain Police Department after that second time, and they said that they were going to arrange a third forensic interview, this time to take place at Klingberg. As soon as the father found out, he forced them to cancel the third forensic because he knew that Angelina would make a clear disclosure of sexual abuse. After that, I was then threatened by the judge, Jane Cupson-Grossman, who told me that if I didn't start bringing Angelina to the dad's for his weekend visits, that I would be put in jail. Angelina continued to complain frequently about pain, and on May 23rd, 2023, she complained saying that her vagina and stomach hurt when I dropped her off at school. I spoke with the doctor's office, Preferred Pediatrics in Milford, Connecticut, and they advised me to take her to the emergency room to be checked. They asked me when was the last time she had a bath, and I told them I didn't know if she had a bath at Dad's house, but they said even if we didn't know, that I should still take her in for a rape kit, just in case. I took her to the hospital as I was advised to do by her pediatrician, and 2 days later when I went in front of Jane Grossman, she accused me of lying about the sexual abuse and immediately ordered a custody transfer and ordered that Angelina would go with the father. She put in a temporary order that said that mother's access will be supervised as determined by the father in the presence of a third party designated by the father. She said that we would come back in 1 week and that they would possibly modify the access, but then she scheduled our court date for 3 weeks later, not 1 week later. Before the next court date could happen, on May 31st, 2023, 5 days after she entered the temporary order, she entered a 10-page memorandum of decision in which she included several lies and stated that all the temporary orders were now final. She also put in an order saying that I needed to file a request for permission and get her permission prior to filing any motions or pleadings again. The father was not required to ask for permission. From May of 2023 until now, June of 2024, she has denied permission for every single motion I've tried to file, including emergency motions. The father has connections with many people who are in politics, police, judges, state marshals, correctional officers, lawyers, and other state officials. The father paid off many people, including the judge, by doing remodeling work on their homes, including on her home in Mount Carmel, Hamden, Connecticut. His brother-in-law, Greg Gallo, who has ties to the Gallo crime family and the Italian-American mafia, also accepted remodeling work on his rental properties in exchange for a favor to cover up the sexual abuse that Dominic Lodis has been doing. It later came out that Matthew Lodis has also been sexually abusing my daughter. Whenever I tried to report this to the police, instead of doing anything, they actually threatened me, intimidated me, and arrested me. Matthew was arrested on October 8th, 2023 for felony risk of injury to a minor, interfering with an officer, and resisting arrest for refusing to allow Angelina to have a wellness check. Within 1 month, his charges were completely fully dismissed, even though he had no lawyer. There was no transcript for the record, and the court reporter said that Matthew did not go in front of the judge and only spoke privately with the prosecutor. In May of 2024, I argued my cases in front of the Connecticut Appellate Court, and I explained how all of the decisions had already been decided in the past to be unconstitutional by the court, and this should have definitely been reversed on appeal. Today, on June 21st, 2024, the appellate court issued opinions on 2 of my appeals in which they simply said one sentence that the judgment of the trial court was affirmed, and they gave 0 explanation as to why. Over the last year, I've spent more than $40,000 trying to fight to get my kids back, and I'm now in the middle of bankruptcy. Even after I filed multiple federal lawsuits, complaints, and motions for disqualification for the judge, she has refused to recuse herself. She has forced other courts to transfer any cases that I file to her, and then she dismisses it without a trial. I've been silenced, retaliated against, and blacklisted by the entire state, and my ex, and as well as his female friends, have used their connections with the state, with local nonprofits, and with other organizations that should be able to help in order to threaten them and tell them not to help me. It's been over 100 straight days since I've seen my kids. I've not seen Angelina since March 7th, 2024, and I've not seen Juliana since March 9th, 2024. On March 7th, 2024, we were illegally detained at Logan International Airport by the Massachusetts State Police and subsequently went to the Massachusetts General Hospital. While at the hospital, when we were at Massachusetts General Hospital, I was illegally detained for maybe 12 hours, and the Boston and Massachusetts State Police were sitting outside of the hospital room. They said that Juliana and I were allowed to leave, but that Angelina was not allowed to leave. Massachusetts is the only state in the country that does not enforce out-of-state custody orders. The custody order that was in place was technically unenforceable and void because there was an open termination of parental rights case that I had filed in the juvenile court against Matthew. The law says that in Connecticut, if there's an open juvenile case, that the family court orders are unenforceable. I was asking for an attorney, and the doctor said I could step into the room next door to speak on the phone to a lawyer, and told me to go next door so that I didn't speak in front of the children. I was on the phone with a lawyer, and when I went back in the room, Angelina was gone. I asked Juliana where she went, and she said that the doctor came in, picked up Angelina, and said, "Somebody's here to see you," and took her. They took Angelina without her coat, in just a hospital gown, with no shoes. This was in the beginning of March, and it was freezing outside. Her father drove more than 5 hours from Waterbury, Connecticut to Boston, Massachusetts to come pick her up, and they waited until I wasn't looking to snatch her and give her back to him. Legally, they were supposed to call the child services They were supposed to initiate a court action that day. Legally, what they did was wrong, and they're all part of this trafficking ring. Because I had sole custody of Juliana, and because I had spent all this money on tickets because we were all supposed to go on a plane together, I ended up refunding the ticket for Angelina and rebooking a flight to go to Aruba with just Juliana and myself. We were supposed to leave on March 9th, and when we were at the airport, right before we got on the plane, I was stopped by the Port Authority police, who told me that they had to stop me because there was a custody dispute. According to Juliana's father's testimony, he said that the Waterbury police detective called him at 3 a.m. and told him that they were tracking me and that they had me on a watch list and that they were tracking my every movement and that they told him that I was about to leave the country. He then immediately called the police, and even though he had filed an ex parte 2 days prior, he never told me about it, never bothered to try to pick up my daughter, never said anything, and the night before we told him that we were going on vacation and he didn't say a word. Then he tried to play it off when the police called him, and he tried to enforce the order that hadn't been served yet. And when I told the police that it's unenforceable because I wasn't served, they then said that they were going to serve me with it and tried to enforce it retroactively, even though Port Authority police have no authority to serve custody orders from Connecticut. The same judge who took Angelina granted the ex parte taking Juliana that only said one sentence, which was that I tried to leave. Traveling with your children is not a crime. Fleeing from violence and abuse is not a crime. There's actually federal protections under the Violence Against Women Act, and what they did is so illegal in so many ways, and they knew that they had no authority and legally couldn't do what they did, but they did it and broke the law and violated our rights just because they didn't want to mess up the fact that everybody's making money off of Angelina, who's being sexually abused. Taking Juliana from me was collateral damage because they had to run with this narrative that I'm such a bad person, even though I was able to have my own businesses, my own house, be in law school, be a notary, have a clean record, and have sole custody of her for 10 years. And like I said, the appellate court already ruled in many, many cases that it's unconstitutional to order a custody order that gives one parent control of the other parent's visitation and access. It's already been established in the Connecticut Supreme Court. However, when I made these same arguments, and you can watch my appellate argument, I have it posted here and on YouTube. When I made these same arguments, the court turned around and affirmed and said that they're keeping the decision that the trial court made. So I'm going to be exposing everybody and everything, and I want everybody to know that Connecticut is the most corrupt state in the entire country, and what they're doing is trafficking children. I have at least 15 or 20 different examples of other parents who also reported that their child was being sexually abused, and then as a form of punishment, retaliation, and a way to try to silence them, they either lost custody or were put on supervised visits. Like I said, in May of 2023, I was arrested because there was a protective order protecting me from my ex, and I called the police to tell them that he violated the no contact order, and then they didn't arrest him, and instead they wrote a warrant for my arrest and arrested me 2 weeks later. So yes, I was the victim. I was protected by the protective order. He violated it. I called the police to report he violated it. I showed them proof on video that he violated it, and they didn't arrest him. The fact that they would arrest me 2 weeks later on a bogus BS warrant just shows more retaliation by the Orange Police Department, which are misogynistic, all-white police force. Then, in October of 2023, when I tried to go to my daughter's pediatrician's office to retrieve records and maybe see my daughter and say hi to her, I was arrested and charged with a felony because they said that I interfered with Matthew by going there, even though I didn't see him or Angelina. The state of Connecticut also has a law that says that you have a right to a speedy trial, and it says that if the state does not take your case to trial and your trial doesn't start within 30 days from the 1-year anniversary of the day you were arrested, then by law they have to dismiss the case. I put in a motion asking that they dismiss my case because it's been 1 year and more than 30 days since the day of my arrest. And if they didn't start my trial by June 16th, legally they have to dismiss the charges, but they're refusing. The state actually denied my right to a speedy trial, and I tried to remove the case to federal court, and the corrupt federal judge kicked it back to state court more than once. This is a criminal racketeering enterprise. This runs very, very deep. One of the big players involved with this is Yale University, and Yale University is heavily, heavily invested in the genocide that's currently happening. I just want everybody to know that everything that's happened to me is an act of retaliation. I've never, ever had a problem with court until I met my ex. I hope that my kids know that I love them and that I will never stop fighting for them, and that I'm making sure that the truth is going to be out there, because I know that he's brainwashing Angelina every single day to believe lies. And I have not been allowed to see my kids since March, and I haven't been allowed to talk to Angelina in 2 weeks. If you guys watch my videos, I have thousands of other videos, and I'm going to be posting more proof, more evidence, and I'm going to keep posting every single day until this story becomes nationwide news.
This is crazy. This is insane. The law, everything. Sometimes when you want to do things the right way, you want to follow the law and try to, they're against we women. I just feel pity for the girl. For the girl that they are assaulting. I know that for the fact that she doesn't even have full custody of that child, I'm 100% sure that she's not safe. I feel like that's where my concern is right now. If the child just be safe away from all of this. She's too young to be going through all of this. And I don't know, do you know I have any legal advice to give her? Because I personally, I don't know anything to say. This is just so sad and very shocking, because the fact that the tables is just turning around her as if she's the one at fault, she's the one doing wrong, she's the one that is assaulting the child, or she's the one that is, whereas the person that is supposed to arrest is getting away with it. And this is just the law. And someone said that it's upsetting that the system is fucked up in the US. This is crazy. I don't even know what to say. What is your take on today's video? Because, hey, God. I just pray everything works out for her. I hope everything works out for her, to be honest, because I cannot imagine you knowing that your daughter is SA'd by her husband's family or her father's family, and she's still with them. How will she sleep at night? Sometimes I just feel like we should just be putting law aside and just take actions, because let me know your thoughts about the video down in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in today's video. It's your favorite girl again, Mara Davis, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and kindly turn on post notification bell so you can get notified once I upload another interesting video. And I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.